Welcome to the Audiobook Lovin Podcast, discussing all things audiobooks with the authors that write the stories and the narrators that perform them. Brought to you by Viviana, Enchantress of Books.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 3 of the Audiobook Lovin Podcast. My guest today is the awesome author and narrator, Kylie Stewart. Welcome to Audiobook Lovin, Kylie. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to talk to you. Sometimes we do IMing and DMing on Facebook, but this is like our first time chit-chatting. So it's like so excited.
It really is. It really is. I know. I'm excited.
Yeah. And your voice sounds exactly like in the audiobooks and just so dreamy.
Oh, yes. I have that sexy voice now. To me, I always sound like a little kid in my brain. So
I think we all do that.
Nice to know it sounds dreamy.
Yes. Yeah. No, I think we all do that to ourselves. But why don't we start with having you tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been doing both the writing and the narrating gig, and how all that started for you.
Well, the writing came first. I've always been a writer. I've always wanted to be a writer. Somebody asked me back when I was getting my master's in equine business, which was like horse stuff, because I worked in the horse industry for a while, the racehorse industry in Kentucky. I was like my first life, I call it. They were like, well, if you could do anything, what would you do? And I automatically said, oh, I'd be an author. And then I was like, what am I doing with my life? So I took a couple of easier jobs in the equine industry and kind of sat down and wrote my first book, which is a horrible fantasy YA. And that was one of the first ones that I ever wrote. It will never see the light of day, but it was the first book that I actually had finished. I had started a lot of books in high school and college and never finished them. And this one was the first one that I actually finished. So I really enjoyed the process. I got my hands on anything and everything I could for writing crafts and getting better and how to plot and outline better, because I cannot pants for crap. Like I can't pants. Yeah, if somebody's like, write this down, I'm like, okay, I have to make a list about everything. It's how it's going to go every chapter. And they're like, you only have 15 minutes. And I'm like, oh, well, that's not happening. I don't know how pantsers do it. I'm kind of jealous, but I then decided to get into voiceover. So when that happened, I met my fiance or boyfriend, now husband, and he got me set up with my mic, and he'd been doing it way before me. He was already agented. And then one of my mentors said, hey, why don't you try this site called ACX? I get some extra work here and there, and I think you'd be a good fit for it because it would give you confidence in your voice. You'll learn to read better and read better copy, and you like to read and you like to write. So I think it'd be a really good avenue for you. Plus you get to make some money. So I was like, sure, yeah. And I went home and I recorded 7 auditions, and I got about 5 back accepting. And I had absolutely zero idea on how to edit or do anything. So of course, hubby / fiance / boyfriend at the time was like,
Goody.
I will help you. Yeah. So he taught me everything I know about editing, and oh my gosh, it was crazy. It just took off. And then I was getting so much work off the bat that it was a little overwhelming, and I almost couldn't keep up with it as a part-time compared to my full-time job. And I was making more money doing the part-time job than I was the full-time job. And I was just driving myself, and my fiance hubby at the time, crazy, says, you have to pick one. It's like, I think this is your sign to jump on the wagon of, go voiceover full-time. So I did. And it was the best choice I made, because really soon after that, I landed the Indebted series by Pepper Winters with Will. And that was just amazing. It was an amazing experience. And he taught me a lot too. So it was really nice having, like, one of my first big roles as Nyla Weaver be with a narrator who knew exactly what he was doing, and he could kind of coach me along with it, which was really awesome. Mm-hmm. So that's how I started. And I've been doing it for about 6 years now, full time.
Wow, congrats. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's when you're finding your passion and you're trying to figure out the whole responsibility and a steady paycheck versus project work, it's kind of hard to, because we're all, raised a specific way, especially the millennials and Gen Z.
Oh yeah. Older millennials us. We're just like, gotta go to college, gotta get a degree.
Loyal to the company that you've been working for 15 years
that doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, yeah. Or that still does. But it's okay. They'll hire a replacement for you the moment you leave. So it's not like you're in separate, So I think it's awesome to hear these stories where you took that leap, because it's a huge leap. And when you don't have that confidence, you sometimes need someone to shove you off that comfort cliff.
And he did. My husband, he shoved me so hard, and because he was
with
like,
love.
And I had a mental breakdown about in the middle of it, because I was like, am I doing the right thing? About 3 days, I was like, I'm going to do it. And then I was like, no, I'm not. I'm going to do it. No, I'm not. There's like, Kylie, I'm going to make a decision for you real easy. So yeah, but I'm really glad that he gave me that push, because it was needed.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's good to have the support of other people in your world.
It really is.
That see the passion that you have, as well as, how you emanate that energy of, being happy at doing what you,
and I was always a theater kid too. So performing, and I love to read. So I hit my Goodreads goal every year.
Oh my God.
Because I read for a living. I mean, it's really fun. So and I read such a wide range, from sci-fi to fantasy to romance to how-to books. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. So you use the books that you narrate as part of your Goodreads challenge?
I do.
Okay. Just asking, because I'm like, when I get ALCs, I'm going, should I not? I mean, technically it's listening, but it was, for a gig, or the same thing when I do proofing for audiobooks. I'm like, it's for a gig, but I mean, it is listening.
It is technically a book.
So
it's a book.
It's just the reason why I'm listening to it may vary, but
exactly.
Okay. So I don't feel so bad now. Okay.
No,
if anybody says anything, I go, Kylie told me I could.
I give you full permission to add any books for work to your Goodreads calculations.
Thank you. Now maybe
I do.
Maybe now I'll make it. I always set a goal, and then halfway through the year I reduce it. Because I'm like, I've been working. I mean, I'm listening, but I'm working, so it's different. But yeah, thank you, Kylie, for allowing me to do that. You rock.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Oh goodness. Okay, feels so much better now. Those little things. As you do straddle, and sorry for the pun there, both author world and narrator world, we're going to be jumping back and forth a bit when it comes down to some of the questions I have, and we're going to also combine them, because some of them can be done that. I find that when you were sharing with us that you had a difficulty time as far as making that final decision in the leap, it's because you're a planner, and I'm sure you had a to-do list of what could go wrong if you do this versus what could go, like the pros and cons. I think a lot of planners do that.
Exactly.
So do you find yourself as a planner, when it comes down to narrating and prepping your books, are you also doing it to that extent, or what's your process now after 6 years of doing this look like?
The process of doing it after 6 years, I work with a lot of the same authors over and over again. And the companies that I work for are really great at pretty much giving me everything I need beforehand. So I just pretty much have to just skim through the book to make sure that I get, the right, if they say X character is a female, and I go through the book and they're not in it a lot, and it could be misconstrued as a male or something like that. Like it's just, I guess I could say it works for accents. Like if a female needs a Scottish accent and I read the entire book through without, kind of skimming it beforehand, and I didn't do a Scottish accent, I just kept her British or something like that. And the producer comes back and they're like, oh, hey, this was Scottish. So it's just nice to kind of go through it beforehand. I have made male characters female before when the dialogue tags throw me off, when the author's like, this is a boy or this is a girl. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, the dialogue tags. But that was like back at the beginning. So now it's really easy to just go through. I always ask for, if I'm working with a science fiction or a fantasy novel, please give me a pronunciation guide phonetically so that I know what I'm working with. If there is like French or Greek, I actually just did a book with Greek in it, which was really interesting. Give me the links so I can listen to how it's pronounced, because I don't always know how to pronounce these words in other languages because I am American. I know very little French and very little Spanish, and that's about it. I know more Latin than I do anything else because I used to sing. So it's like when I see Latin, it's always fun for me because I'm like, oh, I know this. But other than that, it's pretty easy. They give me the dialects. They give me kind of how the character in their mind should come off emotionally or personality wise, which helps. And a lot of the times the production companies I work with, they'll like give me a breakdown of who says what in what chapter, how many words. So it's very much, it's so easy now. It's so streamlined. And like I said, I only do some skimming now just to make sure that everybody is the right gender and the right dialect. You know?
You don't want to find out he's Russian in chapter 40, you know?
Exactly. And that has happened to me before in the beginning. So it's like you learn from your mistakes.
I think it
takes a little bit more time. But, you know, once you learn your process, it definitely gets easier the more you do it.
Yeah, that's definitely a running question / joke amongst the narrators. And when I talk to him, like, again, chapter 7, he has a British accent and you're going, good to know.
I think there's a TikTok about that. A narrator did a TikTok and she was like, when you read the whole book and you realize he said in his Russian accent. And I was like, yep.
Oh, that was Natalie Nodis. I love her and her TikTok. She has such a great energy about her and sharing. It's almost like a day in the life of, you know, a narrator, fill in the blank. And she has hit that one definitely on there.
That was so, I felt that on a spiritual level. I'm like, oh, yes, been there right in the beginning of my career. That was so much fun.
Yeah. But it's also the first thing I tell authors when they ask me, hey, I'm thinking about putting my book in audio. I'm like, fascinating. Do you have a book Bible? And then they either look at me blankly or the answer is yes. So it's almost like a diagram. If you said yes, go here. And if you're looking at me blankly, go over there. So things like I always say to them, I go, if you haven't done it yet, make sure that you have things like character accents. If there's a certain kind of speed in their how they talk. If one of them has like a lisp or just doesn't like like I say, sketty, you know, there's little things like that. Write it out at the very beginning and not
let us know, please.
Let them know. So it makes everybody's life a lot easier. And
it really does. And it makes our process so much faster too.
And also more fun. And at the end, once the package is delivered in this nice, lovely book cover and into our earbuds, those of us that pick up on those tiny little details, we'll put that in a review. And if it's not done correctly, they will tell you.
Yes, Goodreads will always tell you.
Some will do it very nicely. Others not so much.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good thing to have, just like consistency on the color of the eyes from chapter to chapter, book to book, but also book cover, because that's my thing too, by the way. And we'll talk about your book covers. Is that when the model is brunette or blonde and the hero is black hair, but then you read the description and he has blonde hair and she's brunette, and you're going,
yes,
it's called Photoshop, babe. Yeah. So as an author, how do you go about picking your book covers? Do you design them, or do you have a graphic art designer? What does that process look like for you for your book covers?
I am artistically challenged.
I love that.
And I wish I could do my own covers. I know several authors who do their own covers and they're gorgeous. And I'm just like, no, that's never happening. My husband is he went to school for graphic illustration, so he can totally do all of it. But he hasn't worked on it enough where he's trying to do some book covers for me. And I'm just like, no, something's missing. So, you just go to somebody who knows what they're doing. I'm a part of a bunch of cover book groups on Facebook, and I see a lot of amazing, covers that are photoshopped or not photoshopped, or even the artistic, where it looks like they've almost been drawn, but they're realistic for fantasy. And when I go into look, I don't know what I'm looking for until I see it. I feel so bad for cover artists who work with me, because I'm like, I don't know. This is what I think I want. And I love these covers. So I always give comp covers in the genre. And I'm like, these are what I like. And I was wondering if we could do this here. And this is what they look like. And I need these, like a blonde guy with a brunette girl, or, a brunette boy with a brunette girl. And it's like, it can be so difficult to find the right couple. So for the Legend series, that was with book cover by design. Kelly Dennis did those, and they're beautiful and amazing. And they're 6 years old now. And I used the same female model as the male model. And we just alternated male, girl, female, male, male, female, that's not really alternating, but we alternated the book covers to have one. I'm currently in the process of getting them redone, because they're not really on genre anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting them recovered and actually retitling the entire series. It's still going to be the same book inside, but I'm just giving them a different title to help with the branding, now that I've learned about branding better. So I'm now branding myself appropriately. And I have the first 3. I need to get the last 4 done. And I'm in love with them. They're fantastic. They look contemporary fantasy, paranormal-y. They look just amazing. And I can't wait to get the rest done. But I had a baby, so medical bills kind of take precedent.
But also taking care of that baby.
Also taking care.
They don't take care of themselves.
7-month-old.
Yeah.
That was.
Doesn't really
insane.
matter at 19. Doesn't count either. Sorry.
Yeah. So that's kind of just what I do for book covers. Mm-hmm. I have an idea of what I want, but again, until I see it, I'm kind of just one of those people that's just like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's really hard for me where it's easy for me to put things into words on paper, it's very hard for me to be like, design anything. It doesn't compute. Like, I know what I want in my mind, but I know it's not going to come out well if I try to, write it down or draw it out on paper. So I'm just like, this is what I'm thinking. And I put it into words and I give it to somebody else to kind of make it and spit it back out at me. So that's kind of my process.
Okay, good. Well, I think it's important to know our strengths and our areas of opportunity, because I don't believe in weaknesses. But the thing is just, when it comes down to some of these covers, I mean, at the end of the day, people say we don't judge a book. Yes, we do. We judge the book by its cover. Absolutely.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. And to me, it also kind of says, if you're not willing to spend the money or the time and the effort to make that a good cover, I can only imagine how much the inside is going to be mirroring it. And also because some of the stuff of these books are getting older, the older backlists are not getting revamped, and people have learned about branding. They have learned about, the genre itself has shifted a little bit, more neon pink or yellow blues, stuff like that, Powerballs.
Like, I remember everybody had a couple years ago, it went from hot shirtless guy cover to
apples,
objects. And I was like, oh, that's I love the object covers. So another thing I did that's a no-no is I bought an entire 5-book set for my next series coming out 3 years ago. And it was when objects were big. They're not big anymore. I can't use those covers anymore.
Well, you could, so it's like, technically.
You could
technically,
but they don't even match the inside story anymore. It's like, oh, this has gone way to the left when I wanted to go right. So,
well, I was going to say you could use them on the inside, like on the back cover, like an exclusive and stuff like that. Listeners and readers do like kind of having that little bit extra in the books. And and that way you're still utilizing it, because it is, I mean, the money spent, the ideas, all that stuff.
And I was like, I will never do that again until it's done and ready to be put into that box. But until then, we're not going to do that anymore.
No, because again, I mean, everything can change, especially the story itself. So yeah, I mean, it was a contemporary. Now they're shifters. I mean,
it is. It's exactly what happened. Actually, that is exactly what happened. I was like, something is missing. This is reading very, very much like it wants to go. And a girlfriend of mine, she was like, "You are a paranormal author and a fantasy author. Why are you writing, this contemporary? It feels historical." And I was like, "Well, it's kind of historical." And she goes, "What if you just made them all shifters?" And I looked at it and I go, actually. So I had to rewrite the whole thing. And that is hopefully going to come out sometime in like 2023 because I want to have the entire series ready to go before I release it. Because I learned my lesson the first time around to have that second book at the ready, and even the third book, because this indie industry is so rapid. It's you got to be quick.
Yeah, I mean, do they have cliffhangers or anything like that, or that dun 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 kind of moment in between?
They do. They do sort of. They do. Well, Legend did for sure. It was a 7-book series, and it was based on the Legend of King Arthur. So it's like every ending was a cliffy. But this one is everyone has their own book. Every sibling has their own book, and it ends, but the family storyline continues. So you can read each one individually, but you'll get more out of it if you read them all in succession.
Nice. Okay. You hear that, folks? Start preparing your calendars.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. For 2023.
Kylie Stewart. There you go. I like it when the authors are, especially, so specifically if there's a cliffhanger going on, definitely a back-to-back release or at least a week or something. And I know that's coming and it's a set date.
Oh yeah.
If it's like what you were saying, I'm okay with it having a couple of months in between, but it does help with the marketing and also letting people know that this other stuff is coming and kind of plan that out. So we know that it is versus I'm sure you'll still get it because you'll get the emails. So when is it out? When is it going to be out? When is it going to be out? When is it going to be out? When is it going to,
Yup.
Which is a nice thing to get because it shows that you're being loved. But at the same time,
but you don't want to lose that interest.
Yes, exactly. So I'm excited. I do like it. There's been one other series that I've read that reads like contemporary, but is actually a paranormal as a shifter. And I like that because I can then use that series as an intro to someone that has not ever read PNR.
Exactly.
And say, okay, well, it reads like a contemporary. That just happens to be a shifter. So try this one and then let me know if you like shifters and stuff like that. So now I'll have a second series.
Ease them into it.
Yeah. Well, sometimes these paranormals, can be kind of out there. I mean, we're thinking shifters. We automatically think wolf. Well, there were some with bears and coyotes. And I think there was even a squirrel once. I don't know.
Oh yes, there's so many
options, so
then there's the tigers, the leopards and stuff.
Yes, exactly. All the felines and things like that. And the hawks and the, so many different options. So it's changed a lot in all these many years of no longer just the werewolves. And
no more no longer wolves. We have lions, tigers, and bears.
Yeah, definitely. Some people will get that reference, and I realize sometimes some people will not because of the whole
right. We're old. Leave us alone.
So, as a writer and also as a narrator, do you have a ritual that you do before sitting down at your desk to write or at the laptop to write? And similar as far as narrator goes, is it a similar ritual? Is it completely different just to kind of get your mindset into stuff?
If I'm doing an accent for the narration portion, I'll listen to a movie or clip on YouTube or a TV show before I go into it. For the writing, I just make sure I have all of my things at the ready. So it's like all my crazy colored pens and my plotting notebook and my notes and my series Bible and my scene cards and stuff. And that's pretty much what I do.
So do you write the book out first, like handwritten, or at least the outline, and then you go on to the...
I do the outline and the book Bible part of it all by hand. There's something that I lose creatively I know it could go faster if I did it on the computer, but there's something I lose creatively from brain to, pen, or brain to computer. Like I lose it. So to me, I do have to write it out by hand. And I wish I could use something. I have Scrivener on my computer. I've looked at it. It's beautiful. I can't use it because I have to have all of my notes in my hand. I'm like, when it comes to like journals or planners, stuff like that, I am a niffler. I like to collect it. It's Niffler is that cute little platypus looking thing from Harry Potter.
I was just about to ask. Thank you for. I'm like, I sounds familiar, but help me out here.
It's the little thing that likes to collect shiny things from Harry Potter. I am a Niffler when it comes to planner things and journals. So if I see a pretty planner or something like that in Barnes and Noble, I'm always like, or journal, I'm like, I'll just take that and use it. Now I'm actually forcing myself to use them because I always buy them and I just set them on a shelf to look at them. So I have all these empty journals and I'm really getting through them really fast because I've started to really work on my craft more and plot more and really ask myself the questions that I should be asking the characters, like, why are you doing this? What's your motivation? Why are you the villain? Like, did I give you any motivation other than you're just a bad person?
I'm just an asshole.
Or you just an ass. Or did you want something? You want something more than just this, So, it's just, I have to do it by hand and then I get to typing. And then once that is outlined, I usually go pretty fast, like really fast. It's usually by that time my brain is like, okay, if we don't get these ideas and scenes onto the paper, I'm going to explode. So that is how my process works.
Nice. Thank you for giving me a name now as a Niffler, because hoarding is just not the right one. Because I'm like that.
No, I'm a Niffler.
Yeah, I'm a Niffler. I might have to get that on a t-shirt and a sticker.
Yeah, leave me alone. I'm a Niffler. Don't judge me. I'm a Niffler.
Because I do the same thing with like the happy planners. I got a bunch of the sticker books and everything. And I'm like, today I shall get organized. Yeah, no.
Yep. I have a bunch of the sticker books from Happy Planner and I use Erin Condren's planners. So it's like, it's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, we have a name now. It's official.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Team Niffler.
Because again, I mean, my husband's like, sees me going down the line and he's like, you already have that book. And you're like, you don't even know which one I'm looking at.
It has a different cover. Yeah. Leave me alone.
Okay, well, so I will say that when it comes down to that, as series goes, when you guys as authors bust out with a new, cover style, branding in the middle of the series.
Oh yeah.
Like I gotta buy the whole thing again and make sure they're the right size, because that's the other thing too. Paperback and master, yes, that. Yeah, it's like all that fun stuff, and you're like, no. So. Thankfully, I have been experiencing that a whole lot, but it does happen. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You were talking about asking the characters these very important questions to help you write their story. Do they talk to you? A lot of authors say that they hear the voices and they're having these conversations. So I kind of wanted to see how it is with you.
Yeah, my husband, he always looks at me like, I don't understand where you say how you call your characters, like how they want to do things, or like how they're. I'm like, they're people to me. Like in my head, they have stories to tell. So usually characters will come to me first. I've always said that, authors were kind of like mediums for creation, creativity or creative endeavors. So I usually get characters that come first. I'm like, okay, you're interesting. Tell me a little bit about yourself. What do you want? And usually with them comes a plot idea or two, and I'll sit on it and then I'll wait for a couple other plot ideas to kind of form together to create a little bit more of a complex plot, because, you can have one really good idea for a plot, but I kind of like to put a little bit more in there. So it's not just a one note thing. And that's just my process. I took a class from Brandon Sanderson, who wrote the Stormlight Archive series, or he's writing it right now. He's a wonderful author and a wonderful teacher, and it's free on YouTube for anybody who wants to watch it. And he says, it's really good to pick, say, something, if you're writing science fiction, something maybe, how can you connect the economics to superpowers. And he has done so multiple times by, for example, his Stormlight series, their versions of they have like jewels, and they have these, he tied it to economics and weather and superpowers. So whenever the big storms come through, it charges these gems and they glow. But if you have these superpowers and you're able to harness it, you can suck out the stormlight from these gems and use it to your abilities. And that's a really cool connection that I've had a really hard time making in my brain. And I finally made it. I'm like, okay, let's take like basic things and make them really interesting, or at least trying to connect certain plot points so that they don't run into each other. Because I've read books where plots run into each other and you're like, that doesn't make any sense. It seems like the author either didn't flesh it out enough, or it just seems at the very end it ends abruptly and you're like, what? How did that happen? Or that doesn't work. So for me, it's like I really want to make sure that I don't do that to my readers and give them whiplash. And yeah, that's pretty much how it goes down. And the characters, they talk. I free write a lot of my characters. If I don't know them that well, I'll do free writing sessions, and I always pick on myself. I was like, I'm gonna go scry.
I love it.
And I'm like, Eric's like, oh, you got a new character you gotta figure out. I'm like, yep, you gotta go scry. So I do that. And recently I've gotten a idea for science fiction that is plot driven first. So that was very strange for me. The plot came first. Multiple ideas came at me first for this trilogy. And I have the main character, but I didn't know anything about them or her adversaries or anything. So I was like, how? So I basically had to really free write that and ask questions like, okay, if this happens, what do you want? What are your motivations? What are your goals? What are you conflicted with? So you really have to kind of build that way. So usually I get characters first, but I've been thrown a loop and gotten plots first and adventures first, which is really hard for me because I am a character driven writer. So it's really interesting to have a plot base first especially for science fiction, because that's way out of my, I love it. It's my guilty pleasure, and I've always wanted to write one, but it's like, okay, you've given me science fiction, fantasy-esque type, and how the hell am I going to write this with everything else that I have to write?
As the character sits in the background going, ha, 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 ha.
That's what happened with Legend was the Avalon, the main character, just kept sitting in the back of my head going, you have to write me, you have to write me, you have to write me. And finally he just got so annoying where I was like, fine, I will write your stupid story. But I fell in love with it, so it wasn't that stupid.
Yeah. Do they gloat afterwards? He told you.
Yeah. They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
Especially happens after sex scenes. I'm like, oh, you got exactly what you wanted, didn't you? And they're like, yep. I was like, I didn't see that coming. That wasn't supposed to be a sex scene, just so you know. And they're like, oh, I know. We know. I'm like, mm-hmm. Or the times when you can't get them out of the bedroom and you're like, guys, we have a story. You can't just sit in the bedroom all day. Get out, do something.
Yeah. As long as they don't bust out with, it's a mental health day. Then because then you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, right. Right. And I've had those days where they go away and you're like, hey, where'd you go? Like, come back. And they're like, no, we don't, the inspiration isn't there. And usually that's when I have to go watch P.S. I Love You. It's a very strange thing.
Yeah, it's kind of sad movie.
I have to watch P.S. I Love You to refill my creative well. Don't know why. I just love her whole journey of learning to do shoes through losing her husband, which is really dark and morbid, but I love that movie. There's something about that movie. And the book is really, really great too.
Nice.
And I think part of the reason why I love it so much is the girl who wrote it was 21 and she had just graduated from university and she had no idea what she was going to do.
Oh, wow.
And she wrote it and yeah, she got it published.
I can totally picture you at your writing desk having these questions and these conversations and having your kid at the door just staring at you. Like, what are you, and then having your husband walk by, it's okay, honey, your mommy's writing, and just takes them away.
That's what it's going to be like. That's what it's going to be like.
Does she know they're not real, Daddy?
Right? Mommy has a lot of imaginary friends. I don't have any.
Yeah. Well, only unless they want to mess with you and just say, yeah, I know, that guy that's standing next to you.
Yeah. That would require a little bit more than that would be like, excuse you. What did you just say? Time for a cleanse.
Yeah.
Like, nope.
Well, they do say sometimes the kids say the darndest things. So
yeah.
You kind of touch base a little bit on the accent work. And we as listeners are always suckers for an accent, and it doesn't really matter what it is. But do you have a favorite one to perform?
Oh, yeah. I love British. It's so much fun. My family is from Scotland, and a lot of them moved to England after World War II, or were in England for World War II because of the war effort. And both my grandparents were in the Royal Army. And I've always been used to it. I've grown up around it. I grew up in upstate New York. So we had Canadian Broadcasting, PBS. We got a lot of British television, which is very different than American broadcasting. So. Let me tell you that.
Yes, I know.
It's very dry and it's funny, but you gotta have the right humor. You have to understand it to get the humor. But yeah, I've always loved British. I've always been fascinated by England and the history of England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, Northern Ireland, that sort of thing. So I'm definitely an Anglophile for sure. I love everything royal family, all of that stuff. I follow it pretty closely too. And yeah, it's my favorite. I think my favorite one that my husband does, he does amazing Scottish and he does amazing Russian. Yes. And I'm here for it.
Okay, now to get
for me, my favorite is British. So
not to get too personal or anything, but when you're mad at him, does he pop any of those accents out to try?
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. It's the perks of being a voice actor, and he's very, very good at he's better at dialects than I am. So yeah, but British would be my favorite. I can slide in. And when I auditioned for Indebted series, Pepper Winters thought I was native British. And when I talked to her over Skype, she's like, "Oh, you're not British." And I was like, "No, I'm American."
Well, the first time I listened to one of your books, you were doing a British accent, and I was like, "Oh my God, her British is so good." I mean, she's British and stuff. I honestly thought you were born and raised there. And then I find out that it's
a big compliment for me, because I'm like, if I can fool people thinking that I'm from there, then it works. And I do get booked more for my British than anything else. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's just really good.
And I like that.
Really yeah. No, it's when you have it and you can do it. Cause that's the other thing too. Since again, with any kind of accents, I mean, you living in Texas, you can hear the difference in accents when it comes down to a northern Texas versus a southern Texan, but also the difference between a Texans and a southern accent if you're from Atlanta, Georgia, or anything like that. And
there's a difference between East Tennessee, West Tennessee. There's a difference between Atlanta, Georgia, and Charleston.
Yep.
And there's a difference in Alabama versus Louisiana. So, and then there is deep Louisiana. So yeah, those ones are always fun when people are like, "I just want a Southern accent." I'm like, where are we living?
Yep.
Where are we from? Because there's difference. Because I've lived in Tennessee, and I've lived in Tennessee. I've lived in Texas. I've lived in North Carolina, and I've been to Virginia for a while. And I did live in Kentucky for a few years. So I've kind of been all over the place in the South, and they're very different. So when people are like, "I just want a Southern accent," it's like, where are we? Where are we?
Where's
I need a little bit more.
Yeah. Because people will tell, and again, it goes right back to that whole level of detail. And when it even comes down to the British accent, there's going to be someone inevitably that is from England and say, "Well, he said that he was from this place, but that doesn't really sound like that." And you're going,
"Yeah, you said he was from Manchester, but you gave him a London accent." doesn't work. Yeah. Or Liverpool versus Estuary or Yorkshire. There's a whole swath of dialects for British.
I know. And people will pick up on it. Mm-hmm. And that's why I always say sometimes a good idea just to say, oh, he's traveled a lot.
Right. Yeah. He's well
versed, or like, oh yeah, he's from a place where the accents are kind of weird. And so there isn't anything specific, like with mine, they're like, you have something. I go, no, I know I have something. Let's not go there.
But what it is, you don't know.
Yeah. Because I do have like a bit of an accent, but it's not anything. It's because I was born and raised in Miami, Florida. And we're the South, but we're not anywhere country.
Yeah.
So, but if you're in Kissimmee, Florida, which is by a smaller city by Orlando, they get Southern. Like they get like,
I've heard more Southern, like deep Southern accents in Florida than I have anywhere else. And it was just shocking. And I was like, I thought this is where all of the New Yorkers retire.
No, that's Naples, or Daytona Beach.
And it's like, where are my people? Yeah. Like
in their retirement communities, like by the beach. Stuff like that. But if you get in the, we have all different types of things here in Florida, all sorts of things. But that's the accent stuff. It's important, especially now when we're going globally now with, British and Scottish, but also South African is a popular one, Australian, South American accents and stuff like that. And you're like, no, not all of us sound the same.
There are a few that I won't touch. Australian is fine. I've done a couple of characters who were African, so they speak like more Afrikaans. And that is a very interesting accent, and it takes a while to get your tongue around it because they do have different vowels. And I will not do Asian because I don't do it well. And I just feel like you could find somebody from there as a narrator who has it naturally. You don't have to put it on, especially from Japan, with their diction between, they don't have L's. So their R's or they don't have R's or they don't have L's, one of the two. So it's very hard to know what to hit where. And I just refuse to do Asian accents, or, like African accents, like from Africa. I'm like, nope, you can find somebody for those because that just seems like, nope, not right. Nope. Not for me.
Well, it's about being true to the accents and the area and paying on, honor versus making it a character.
Exactly. And you don't want to ever do a caricature of anybody. So it's like, to me, I'm just like, no, can't do that one. Mm-mm.
No, but I mean, it's also funny too, because there's also moments where you have an actor that is from that place. Like,
yes,
it was Gary Furlong got a review saying his Irish accent is not good. He's like, I'm from fucking Ireland.
Yep. Yep.
And I think Shane East is another one that's seen a similar review about his British accent not being quite on point. And I'm going, he's from England. So yeah, everybody has an opinion. You know what they say.
Yep. Yes. Everybody has them.
Yes, we do. But it's always those are the ones that I always find like, do you not know? Okay, whatever. I'm like,
you must. Are you new?
Yeah, that's what I was always messing with Gary. I'm like,
you must be new.
I'm like, Gary, you just got to put the Irish more out there.
That's so crazy.
They're just used to the Lucky Charms.
Oh my gosh, seriously. No. It's like, no, they don't all talk like cartoon leprechauns in Ireland. They don't at all.
I know, yeah. But again, that's just sometimes the small world that we live in here in the States is kind of sad.
It is. It really is.
It really is, yeah. So again, back to the accents real quick. When it comes down to the writing, do you like giving your characters, or may they already come this way with a particular accent, or that's different for you?
It's really funny because for what I've been working on for the last several years, they've all come from the UK. I have a family right now who's in the mix, but it's Russian. And then I have a family that's in the mix that's Irish. So all of my stories so far are based in the UK. except for the contemporaries, the novellas that I do write, they're based here in the US. So it just kind of depends on where they come from. I do play D&D, so I love experimenting with accents. Yes, I'm a professional nerd. So I love playing with different accents and seeing if in my fantasies or science fictions, I can put different accents in there from different places just to give it a little bit of flavor.
Oh, geez. You and your hubby would probably be fun to play games with like that with the voices.
We are. Yeah, we before I gave birth, we actually wrapped the first huge leg of a campaign we were working on for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
So, and it was so much fun, and we can't wait to get back to it. But yeah, when you have a kid, things.
Yeah, man. They always say, have a kid, it'll be fun, they said.
Yeah.
You should try it.
It is. It's great. It's really great. We're only having the one. So it's really great. We're only having the one.
That's it.
And we're done. And but yeah, no, it's been really awesome. But yeah, the work-life balance is so crazy now.
Yeah. It is very interesting. I always, when people are like, oh yeah, I want to have a kid, I go get a dog first.
We had 3 cats.
See, that doesn't count. The cats are like independent. They don't need you. They show you that you might be wanted if depending on the cat.
Mm-hmm.
Mine have always been very lovey-dovey and affectionate. So I've been very fortunate.
Ours are too.
And things like that, but they're still very independent. I mean, they could go for hours. Like if, sometimes in those moments where like, crap, did we feed the cats? They will let you know.
Mm-hmm.
They will let you know. No, you have not. But other than that, you're like, kitties, where are you?
Yeah.
A dog.
They're doing their own thing.
A dog will have just finished eating and then see you snacking and say, you're going to share? So,
yeah. I grew up with dogs. So it was like.
And the kids do that. I mean, my kid the other day, it was last night, I was having leftovers from the Cheesecake Factory.
Oh.
And
no wonder.
And he comes to, he sits next to me and he goes, hi, mommy. And I'm like, that's the tone. And that's the nickname. Yep. And I'm going, mm-hmm. He goes, what you got there?
Yeah.
And I'm like, food, because I'm the sarcastic person. And he goes, what is it? And I said, well, it's orange chicken from the Cheesecake Factory. And he goes, looks interesting. And I'm going, would you like to try some? He goes, don't mind if I do. Thank you. And I'm telling you, that's 19, honey. That's 19.
Oh, yeah. No, mine is 7.5 months. So he's got the, what are you putting in your mouth face? And can I reach the bowl? And can I have some? Like he wants whatever you're putting in your mouth. You're like, no, babe, you got to get teeth first.
Yeah. But they're also at that age too, where they grab their own food and then they'll try to stuff it in your mouth and you're going, no, I have taste buds.
Yep. You're like, I don't need this. This is not cool.
No. Yeah.
Pureed prunes are not my idea of fun on a Monday morning.
Yeah, no. Kids are great. They're a handful and they're definitely an adjustment and things change. Some for the better, some for the, okay, maybe when they're 19 or 18 or 25 and they move out.
Yeah.
Though I've been told I'm not allowed to change anything in his room, regardless of when he moves out. And I'm like, dude, my house.
Yeah, my house, my rules.
Yeah. He's like, we'll see. I'm like, okay, all right, anyways,
Yeah.
But it's always fun when you are the creative type and you have all these things and the kids, like I said, I already see, them kind of looking at you like, imaginary friends again, mom? Okay.
Yeah, mommy has lots of friends. Just leave me alone. Go play with yours.
Yep. Are you working on an accent? Or you're hoping to travel somewhere, mom?
Yeah, right.
Are we going somewhere? That's going to be your next question. Watch. When are we going? So I can practice too. No. That would be fun. Why does your mom have an accent? And like, oh, you just caught her before she went into the booth. Love fun scenarios. But anyways, the genre that you've been saying that you've written in so far, like paranormal and fantasy and contemporary romance, is there a subgenre that you have yet to write in that you'd like to?
Well, there's a couple. I definitely want to do science fiction. I love sci-fi and I love high fantasy. But probably a subgenre would be like a Regency. Regency would be a guilty pleasure, I think. just to be able, like Bridgerton. Oh,
Goals.
goals. Julia Quinn. But yeah, probably Regency or Highlanders.
Ooh,
One of the two. Yeah.
nice.
I really, really like my historicals.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, that's what have to be the two.
Okay. Nice. So you've been narrating some of your own books, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
And did you find that process to be interesting as far as, because I know that you, when you do something as an artist, you then are hypercritical of yourselves, you know, but as an author, once it's written, it's done, you know. Yes, you can go back and edit it 1,000 times once over, depending on what it's, but usually it's done. But now you're going to get in the booth and you're going to have to read it out loud.
Yeah, well, my process of editing also includes listening to it back on like this computer guy named David, I think his name is, or Daniel. He's the British guy. I use a app on my computer that's like reads it back to me. And so I get to hear it back at least 1 or 2 times between edits and beta readers and stuff like that. But of course, when I go in and read it, I'll read things and be like, oh my gosh, I really said that. Oh, that's so cliche. Why? You were so young. And then I have to remember that it's been 6 years or 5. Yeah, 6 years since I published the first one. And it's like I learned, I grew as I wrote this series. So I know how to do the next one better and not make those mistakes. So it is really challenging to be like, oh my gosh, why? Why did I do this? I don't want to even read this out loud. But you have to. And you just learn, and you just learn going forward from your mistakes, and you just grow as a writer. And I think reading it back can be kind of like, okay, I started from here and now I'm here. We've made progress. So you know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay. Yeah. Because I know that even from myself, I would always cringe just listening to like the intro that I used to have to do for the podcast. Hence why I hired someone else to do it for me. And people only have to listen to me talk to you guys, no longer doing the intro and the extra. Because it was just, for me, it was just, I'm hypercritical of myself, as we all are, of ourselves and with ourselves. And so that's always kind of fascinating when the author is also the narrator of that same book. And you're going, oh, okay, hopefully she had a good day.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Because I can only imagine. It's like, why? Like you were saying, why did I say it that way?
Yeah. Why did I say it that way? Oh, yes, we're going to just pretend it's like the first time we were ever reading this at all.
Mentally psych
even though
yourself
I
up.
wrote it. And I thought about doing like a pen name as an author for like my narrator name, making a pen narrator name for doing my own books. I was like, I don't care. It's fine. People know I'm a narrator. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, I think it benefits. Sometimes a lot of people will say that there are pros and cons to everything, including that.
There are.
But at the same time, I kind of like it when I have clear transparency that you as a individual are both the narrator and also an author, because then I'm like, well, I love how she narrates. Let me check out her books. Or I've read her books. Let me check out her narration. And so I have that more connection versus a first-time listen or first-time read with no information.
Yeah, it can help. It can help.
Yeah, because we get hooked on, part of that performance, and then we follow you guys, and it doesn't matter if you read the phone book or a High Regency or anything, and then we're going, but Kaylee's narrating it. Of course, I'm going to buy it, and stuff like that. And the same thing with the authors. We have auto-buy authors that it doesn't matter what it is that they're. I don't care.
One clicks.
Exactly. And they're like, but they didn't. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But you've never read that. I don't care. So it goes back to that. And so I think that when it comes down to having that straddling both worlds, it's always kind of interesting and fun to be like, oh, they do both awesome. And sometimes people can be like, oh, but they're narrating their own book. I'm like, yeah, but this is different than a memoir. I think that would be a little bit more awkward.
Like, I do narration for a living.
Yeah.
It's like, it'll be fine, guys. It'll be fine. Just trust me.
Yeah, because that's the other thing too. Sometimes we're going, we love the author, but on that podcast, but they've not. So
Right.
Or we heard this and like, oh, how could we? Because you guys do bring that extra layer of something to the story. The story has to, from the very beginning, has to have good bones to begin with.
Yes.
And the narrator's job is to just bring it and buff it almost,
Yep. Bring it to life,
buffer it, make it more shiny and stuff like that. And when that narrator can't do that because the bones are not there, or there's a different style of narrating, because again, there are those that just read you the book and that's it, and it's fine. And there's other ones that go off full out and perform it with swords and everything. But that's, we all like different things. And so I think that that's sometimes people may be a little bit weary, but I'm like, no, she's been narrating for a while. Just listen, go listen.
Yeah.
She knows what she's doing. She knows what she's doing. Trust me, she's good. But yeah, it's fun. As a writer, do you have a favorite type of scene to write? Like the banter or the sex scenes? Because I also know that sometimes
I love the banter.
Yeah? Okay.
I love the banter and I love the world building aspects of it.
Mm.
So I have a hard time telling and not showing.
Yeah.
And I have to pull back on that. But I love banter and I love the slow burn. Those are my favorite parts to write. Because I feel like once I get to sex, I'm like, oh man, we can't slow burn anymore.
I know, right? I mean, there's just that level of it's not so much angst, but it's that build up.
It's anticipation.
Yeah, the build up. Will they?
It's like, oh, when are they gonna do it?
Yeah. But also like it's just it's like the locations and what's going on in the area and stuff like that. It's I'm fine with slow burns. I know some people don't like them, but I'm okay with them.
Yeah, I love slow burns. I probably love doing the banter and the definitely the world building. I love doing that.
Well, the banter is important. I think that's too where sometimes I'm more of a I prefer dual narration versus solo, unless the narrator can like really rock my world for all sides. But also the duets are really good because when there's that good banter, it's kind of hard to interrupt yourself.
Yes, it really, really is.
So when it comes down to having that good banter, sometimes I'm going, duets, please. Because it's going to be so good.
I agree.
It helps. Have you been doing, I know that you've done some duets, I think.
Oh yeah.
Do you prefer that style or?
I love all of it. I really do like duet though, because it saves my voice from having to do the male voices. Because if I do the male voices, I've got to get up at like early in the morning to get my man voice on. So that's usually if I'm doing a solo book or a dual, I will get up earlier and do like the male portions first. Or if I'm doing a solo, I'll do the male chapters first. Or if I'm doing dual, I'll make sure that, if it's a pretty heavy male chapter, I'll focus on those ones first, because it helps lower my register. Because if I don't, it just sounds like I'm trying to be a 12-year-old boy.
I didn't think about that.
But I love duet because it's more of like an audio play. And I really like that. I love podcast dramas. So like radio dramas and podcast dramas are really awesome. And I really enjoy those. So I've always actually wanted to write a podcast drama. So I just like the back and forth and the flavor that you get with the different. That's why I really like I love multicasting. It's so much fun because you get this cast of characters and everybody is different. So it's really great. Yeah.
I mean, again, the difference whether they're being brought into that, because I mean, there's a lot of you guys that do the opposite sex really well, specifically the some of the female narrators. I'm like, I had to remind myself, A, I don't play for that team, but B, my God, their guy voices. Ugh.
They're good.
So
good.
I
don't have the best guy voice. I will admit I do not have the best guy voice, but I do appreciate it when they can do it well. And there's a narrator, Joel Frumkin. He's a British narrator. He could do a female voice like, what? He's amazing. I'm just like, oh my goodness. Okay.
To check him out. Because sometimes the guys I know, especially with their deeper range, it's a little more difficult. And sometimes they go about it and like, listen, I know that they're out. Some of them, there are people out there, but not all of us sound like Valley girls.
Yeah. Yes. The stereotype. Gotta love it.
I'm like, no, Barbie girl, we're not.
No.
But yeah, no, it's so it's always good to have that. Again, duets. There's also a lot of other things in the background that I know it's more expensive. There's more editing involved.
Yes, it is.
And stuff like that. But especially if you're doing a book with a lot of different characters with really good banter, that's something to consider. Is that?
Yes, I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the two. What about narrating? Do you have a particular type of scene? Is it like almost the same thing like when that banter hits the play into it as far as narrating it?
Yeah, I do. I like the banter. I giggle a lot during sex scenes because I'm just a child. And I sometimes giggle because if I go in and it's a sex scene and I fill in, say for like my husband, if he's read before me and I go in to fill in for the duet, I'll giggle because it's like narrating with my husband is hysterical with that. We've gotten comments like, oh, they're married and it seems like it's so real. I'm like, yeah, trust me, that's not real. That's all acting. Like,
oh God.
Like, nope, not happening there. But yeah, it's I do like the banter back and forth.
So a little bit behind the scene info here from you as far as narrating with someone, in this case, your husband. When it comes down to doing that part, even though he already recorded, do you have fun with his voice in your head? Like if he sounds like this, does he, like, do you make, is that one of the reasons why you giggle sometimes as far as like, do you have fun with that? Because I know I would be messing if it was my husband. They go, oh, there you go.
Sometimes, yes. Yeah. Sometimes it's like, oh yeah, that's funny. You would never say that.
No, but I mean, like, but the tones, because they all have tones and they all have voices.
When he does like the biker books where it's like growly, gravelly, it's like, ew, that's nice. But then you don't sound like that normally. And then of course he'll come out of the booth being like, my throat is ripped. No, I can't talk the rest of the day. Just ask me yes or no questions. I'm like, okay, I'll know what you worked on. But yeah, no, it's just funny. And then of course, sometimes he does a lot of the post-production. So we'll leave sometimes bloopers in to pull out. We used to do them a lot more, but, some of the stuff that just cracks us up. I mean, there's a majillion ways to describe a penis, and my goodness, I've heard it all. And so is he. And we just when we think we've heard it all, somebody will come up with something different that we have never heard. And it just cracks us up because we'll have to be like, wait, what? What? Like, that doesn't even look inviting. Like, no.
Oh boy. Yeah. I can only imagine. There's been some I'm going, oh, okay, that's different. Yeah. But so you guys, you mentioned keeping the bloopers and stuff. Have you been sharing them out loud? We do share them from time to time. I have on my Eros audio page, I have a couple of clips going back a ways where we have a couple of good blooper reels, but we don't really do them much anymore because it's just we were so busy. We just have to get through it. So we just have to cut those really fast and we don't always keep them. Yeah. The punch roll system, as good as it is, man, it sucks for bloopers,
Yeah.
And
really
we love bloopers as listeners because, it's so funny because you guys, again, we get the finished product and everything's perfect, but then to hear you guys get stuck on a word or this description just makes you completely lose it and laugh. Yeah. Those are always fun. We love it.
Yeah.
So. But I know, damn it, punch and roll system. You think that we would have something better to be able to do it and keep it, but no, it's okay.
Right.
They'll figure it out. They'll do it one day. But not only are you an author and a narrator and a small business owner, because that's what a narrator is.
Yes.
Sometimes people don't get that. Small business owner, a mom, a wife, a human being that's fantastic and awesome. You also do some serials in your YouTube channels that you're doing to educate authors and other, other realms and stuff like that you're doing. Right now you have the audiobook session 1 overview. Tell us about that.
Yep. So back before the virus that shall not be named happened, we were planning to do an audiobook class where we are down here in Dallas-Fort Worth area, and we were able to do one, and it went amazing. And They were 3-hour sessions, and the people that we had, it was a small group because we wanted to be able to focus on people and actually work with people in the booth and direct them and give them good feedback and teach them a little bit more than just a tutorial on how to work with certain software. It was really great, but still I didn't feel like we had enough time. So I decided this year I wanted to kind of create a resource for authors and narrators if people were thinking about getting into it, or if authors were looking to narrate. Because I have heard some authors or indie authors are thinking about, everything that we do as an indie author, it can be expensive, and audio is just another expense. So why not me read it? So some authors have been like, yeah, I'm thinking about doing my audio on their AuthorTube channels. They've been like, yeah, I'm thinking about reading my own audiobook. I don't know where to start. And for some authors who haven't even thought about audio, they think it's this daunting thing. And it's really not. It's pretty streamlined. It's pretty easy to follow. So I wanted to make a resource for authors and narrators and authors who wanted to narrate alike to come and just get some basic info for free. You don't have to pay anybody for it. It's not behind a paywall. And because I had a lot of people helping me when I first started out, people just kind of paid it forward for me in the writing world. And I was like, yeah, then, I want to do the same. So that is running right now on my YouTube channel. And then I'm just an author tuber. Like, I document my process. It's more of a documentation process for myself than anything else, just to have a place where I can go back and hopefully one day when I'm a New York Times bestseller, look back and be like, oh yeah, that's when I wrote that stupid thing. Or when I thought that would be a great idea. But no, it's been fun and it keeps me creative, and it's just a little channel that just keeps me going and allows me to kind of share my journey with other people. But I really wanted to do the audiobook sessions to introduce people to the process that might not know about it, or kind of explain, like, this is work as a narrator. Like, it's not just I read the book and it's done. There's a lot of post-production that goes into it, and a lot of time goes into these things. So especially when you're the narrator and you're also the producer on the book, you don't have a production company to work with. I do work with production companies, but sometimes I don't. I just do everything ourselves in-house. And it's a lot of time spent.
Yeah, sometimes people don't realize just how much time and effort goes into making these audiobooks. And that's not even to discuss the money aspect of things.
Exactly. And that kind of helps explain why audiobooks are expensive or can be expensive, because it's all about getting what you pay for. Just like with your marketing budget, you need an audiobook budget. So yeah, that's why I wanted to create it for a resource. And I know that other narrators and their production companies might do it differently than I do. So it's just my take on the industry, but it's just one of many out there.
Yeah, there's just so many resources. I know that a lot of times people will come to you guys as narrators and say, hey, I've been told I have a good voice. Where do I start? And I'm like, it's called Google. And I know it can be daunting, and but it's also because there's just so much information out there. Sometimes you just want to sit down and have someone tell you. So when
exactly.
you shared that you were having this series this morning, I watched the episode that you have up, and I was like, oh, this is perfect, because now I feel like I can, if anybody comes to me, aside from me going, Google it, I can say, look, Kylie has this episode.
Yeah. Here you go.
Yes.
101 on audiobooks.
Yes, exactly.
Well, as a voiceover artist too, we always get asked, I've been told I can do impressions and I have a good impression voice. It's like, well, anime voiceover, commercial, gaming, all of those, it's not about can you do an impersonation? It's about, can you act? You really have to be an actor first in VO work. Like I said, whether it be in animation or video games, commercials, anything industrial, those types of contract work stuff, it's also what we do down here. And people are always wanting that information. And it's like, well, you really have to be an actor first. Narration is a little different, where you can get away with not being so much of an actor, but it's definitely something that you want to think long and hard and be honest with yourself about. Do I read out loud? Well, and one of the things that people always find so shocking to themselves when you first start doing anything audio, hearing yourself back in your headphones is cringeworthy. Hearing your voice back takes a while to get used to, and it takes you a while to get, acquainted with your voice and that narrating voice versus the dialogue voice. And it's definitely an interesting, it's a different VO avenue, but it's definitely one of the more interesting, I would have to say.
Yeah, no, there's just so much, there's a
lot.
lot to learn. And it's, from a narrator's perspective, wanting to get into this gig. And then on the author side, trying to justify the costs and the voices. And then because they think if they hire, fill in the blank actor, who's British, their books are going to sell. I'm like, well, no, he has a good voice. And yes, his name will bring you some cash. But at the end of the day, how many other narrators are out there that, people like? And so it's just, there's just a lot. And I love the fact, that you have this resource now that, authors and narrators, but even listeners can kind of get, because we, as listeners, sometimes I've seen it. I don't understand why audiobooks are so expensive, and I'm going, well, let me tell you.
Yeah, because you might have a 6-hour audiobook, but that audiobook has taken more than 6 hours to record, more than 6 hours to edit down, and more than 6 hours to proof, because you have to stop and you have to make your edits and your notes, and then the narrator has to get it back and make those edits. So it's a process. It really is.
And some people don't stop to think about that. Even like with this podcast, I have to, after we're done talking, I have to now, thank God I can send it to my editor. But before, for every hour of audio that I had, and usually the episodes don't run more than an hour and a half at max, because also I get tired of listening to my own voice. I could keep you guys talking forever, but I'm like, that's right, you have a life to get back to. But it's like for every hour, even half an hour, it's almost a full hour and a half of editing, just to make sure that the click or the tick is not there, or if there's a background noise that I can edit, and then make sure that the flow is the right way. And do we really want to keep what she just said? Yeah. Or, Viviana, why are you rambling on and on and on and on? So it's just those things that it takes time. And that's time that you're not working on something else to bring you cash.
No, I totally agree.
So that's where there's so much. So I love the fact that you're doing the series and that you're bringing education and knowledge to the world, and also appreciation for the work. Yeah. Because it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it is. It's a lot of work. And, but it's really rewarding because I get to work with authors that I never thought I would ever even get to talk to. And it's created a lot of really good working relationships that I'm really thankful for.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's a great community overall.
It is. It really is.
I mean, there's always, like with anything, grass is always greener, not always green on the other side. There's always going to be bad apples,
always going to be something.
But, there's something. But overall, it's a really good community that with great individuals and many that like to help each other out. And so having someone else provide another resource is also great. So thank you for doing that. And I will be including that information in the landing page so people can go check it out and reference it for later. So that's fun. But on top of all this too that you're doing, it's not like you're done, because wait, there's more.
Yes.
Such a millennial.
I know. Such a little entrepreneur.
I know. It's like you can't stop. So you have the voice acting, we have the writing, we have the YouTube, and now we also have stickers. You are the proud owner of Hummingbird Sticker Company, which you can find on Etsy. I will give you guys the link. She makes really cute stickers for planners.
Yes, because I'm a planner junkie. I got sick and tired of having to buy my own.
Because, Nibbler.
Nibbler. And I do still buy Happy Planner stickers, and I do still buy other Etsy stickers sometimes if I find like a format that I really, really enjoy. But for the most part, I make my own now. And by me, I mean my graphic designer husband. So I will come up with the color palette and the idea and kind of give an outline of what I want. And he takes it and runs with it and creates it. And then we put it up on Etsy, and I run the Etsy, and it's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm. Where'd you get the name from, Hummingbird?
I love it. It's the name of our LLC. So our LLC is Hummingbird Press and Entertainment LLC. We covered everything from publishing to our acting on there.
Nice.
And I just love hummingbirds. They're my favorite bird. I always used to see them up in New York on my grandmother's porch. She would always have hummingbird feeders out. Mm-hmm. And then when we moved to our new house, my dad has finally finished our built-in back porch, which is screened in. And now we have the hummingbirds, and she's since passed and isn't there anymore. So they come over to our house now. So I just love them. They're so cute. And they work really hard.
Yes, they do. Kind of like
they
you.
They have to keep moving in order to survive, literally, or their little hearts will explode if they don't move, if they don't have it above a certain level. I kind of call them my little crank birds. Like if you've ever seen the movie Crank, and it's about the guy who gets this like deadly cocktail injected into his veins. And he has to keep moving. It's like Speed for your heart.
Yes.
The movies, you have to keep above a certain heartbeat or speed. And they do the same thing. So if they don't, they die. And I just love them. They're so cute. And I just wanted something that reminded me of them and home and like good stuff. And so I decided on hummingbird. And the logo is super easy with the hummingbird.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's all cute.
It's all pretty. It's all
cute.
I
know when you first came up with the stickers, I was like, oh, awesome.
Yeah, we made the first ones we made, I think were for writers. It was a writer pack, and we made a couple of different versions of that. And then we did the audio pack. So for people who are in the like audio podcasters or beta listeners, proofers, or you're a narrator, stuff like that, or you're an author and you have like the stickers to put on your planner to be like, oh, today I have to do such and such with audio.
Yeah, because they never have any of that stuff. I'm like, I think I bought like 2 or 3 books when Happy Planner came out with the bookish, weird book lover kind of sets, because I was like, hello. Because that's all I do for my planners is figure out, when to do what for work or listening and blog and podcast and stuff like that. But they never have things like that. So I was always having to adjust. And so I was thrilled when I saw yours. I'm like, yes, someone gets it. Someone gets me.
Yep. We made like the audio pack and everything, and it has like the TBR and everything. And so we're just adding slowly as we go. We're doing more themed ones. I think actually my husband is currently working on our Christmas outlines right now out there with the little ones. So that's what he was working on today. Cause again, he's the graphics designer. I just come up with the ideas and I write down the outline of what I want or we usually now have the templates. We just take the templates and flip over the what do you call it? The theme. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I pick the color palette and he goes for it, and then we put it up there.
Nice. Awesome. Tag team. Yay. That's it should be. Mm-hmm. That's perfect. No, I will be including the link to the Etsy shop there so you guys can get your stickers for your planners or however it is that people use the stickers nowadays, because I've even seen them using on plain notebooks, spiral books. So whatever. Yep. However you want to use them and keep track of things, we'll include that link for you guys to grab those cute stickers. You have a release coming out in a day or two after this airs, because this will be airing October 29th, which is Friday.
Yes.
So you have Crazy for You, Lovin 9 Live series. Tell us all.
Yeah.
No spoilers, please, but tell us all.
So the idea for this series came when I was pregnant, because I wanted something fun and lighthearted. And back when I lived in Tennessee, me and my 2 girlfriends, we all were cat crazy. And the idea just came like, 3 cat crazy best friends own a cat rescue, and they each find their happily ever after. Aww. And I was like, oh, I could do this in novellas. This is super cute. So of course I wrote the first 2 while I was pregnant, and then I had a baby, and it was like, oh, I got to write the last one. Which was the one I was most excited to write, surprisingly. So Crazy for You is about 2 nerds who, they find each other, and I will say this for anybody of you who are Star Wars fans out there, you will appreciate my cat naming system. And yeah, it's just good fun. It's a fated lovers type romance, and there's some cute pets to bring them together. And if you like a little bit of light submissive dom in there, this one is the one for you. The middle one was a little bit more sweet, and the first one was a little bit more spicy. So this one is a little bit more woo. So yeah, so I'm really excited, and it comes out on Halloween.
Yeah. So definitely something, because not everybody's into trick-or-treating or the Halloween aspect of things. I am one to honor it and love it, but I've never liked going door to door asking for stuff or candy. So it's never been me. But I will dress up and give out candy. But gee, if I have to sit and read a book instead.
Yeah.
Gee darn, my bad. I can't give out any more candy because I have to go read Kylie's book.
Yeah, and they're all pretty quick reads. So I love writing contemporary novellas. They're really easy. So
yeah. So yeah, I'll be putting the link for that one too, so you guys can grab it. So you mentioned that this is you were inspired by 3 friends, and now there's 3 books.
Yes.
Are your friends like, is this one about me?
No. They're like, oh no, this is not me at all. I'm like, oh no, none of these girls are you. Like none of them are. But yeah, no. And it's really funny because my girlfriends who like have cats, they're all like, oh, this is so cute. We love these. I'm like, of course you do, because you have cats.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, cool.
No, Amanda Walker is the cover artist, and she killed the covers.
They're really cute.
She did the paw prints in the front. And I was like, we need paw prints in the cover. She's like, okay, we got it. And I'm like, yes. So
that's awesome.
It was pretty cool. Yeah.
So we'll be again concluding the links to that for Crazy for You. And that's the end of the series then, since it was 3 friends and this is the 3rd friend.
Yes, this is.
So we'll enjoy it. Grab all of them at once then and just sit there eating candy from the cauldron this weekend.
Yep. Mom tax.
Yep, exactly. Nice fun. I have to borrow that term. Thank you.
You're welcome.
When you're not working, which again, it's an interesting part of a question. When you're not working, what do you do for fun?
I play Elder Scrolls Online like a nerd. I also read a lot of science fiction, fantasy for fun, and just hang out with friends. We do a lot of game nights. We do a lot of board games. We have a lot of my girlfriends now are becoming moms too. So we're starting to have like mom and dad and baby dates. So it's really interesting to be in this, time of my life. But yeah.
Nice. Good.
It's pretty much what we do. Or just sit around and watch spooky videos on YouTube.
Yep. That's something too that I kind of go back and forth showing videos to friends and TikToks too, because I'm like, if I'm sending you a TikTok, I like you, right? Stuff like that. That's like the new love language.
Yeah, I don't have a TikTok, because if I got a TikTok, I would waste my day away.
Yeah, I can see that. So I've used it, and maybe it's just only know when I work for you. I tend to stay away from it during the whole day, but at night, right before going to bed, I may just kind of do it for like 10 minutes and just. Yeah,
the closest I ever got to getting a TikTok was when Kevin came out with his Shamala Hamala stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's amazing.
Yeah. Well, the good news is I don't think you have to have an account in order to see everything. So
no, you don't. So what I do is I will look, if I want to watch TikToks, I will go on YouTube and I will watch TikTok compilations, kind of like Vine compilations.
Yes, many have done that. I've heard of.
Anybody doesn't know what a Vine is? I'm sorry. Again,
I have a narrator friend that's like, he mentioned the TikTok to me. I'm going, wait, what? You're on the TikTok-y? And he goes, no, I'm not on there. No, gross. I watch them on YouTube. I'm going, oh my God.
Yep. Yep. I watch them on YouTube too.
Like, okay. All right, babe. Okay. Got it. All right. You're good. We're good. But yeah, so now if I send you some cute ones, now you know.
Oh yeah, no, now I know.
Perfect. What is your favorite word? Mind you, it's the difference between a curse word and a word, because that's the second part of the question. So what's your favorite word?
My favorite word? I would have to say, honestly, it's recalcitrant.
What does that mean?
Yep. It means to difficult to manage, like hard to deal with, or you're defiant to authority. Like usually they say, oh, you're such a recalcitrant child. Like I love the name, like that word recalcitrant. It just sounds so awful.
So grabbing that.
Yeah, recalcitrant. It's like obstinate, just being stubborn. So I love using the word recalcitrant. And if you ever read my books, I try to throw that in there at least a couple of times throughout the book.
That is awesome. I'm so using that.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite words.
I know a few people like that.
I read it in a Regency and I was like, oh, that's a goodie. What does that mean? I looked it up and I was like, yep, using that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just like my niece was very argumentative growing as an infant and it's toddler. So she learned how to say, argumentative as a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
I'm like, Gabby, you're being, I'm being argumentative. Okay.
Yep.
So now I have another word for her.
Yeah.
Fast forward at 19, things don't change.
Nope.
So what's your favorite curse word?
My favorite curse word? So real curse word would have to be fuck. Like I say it a lot accidentally. I'm like, fuck. Like I trip over a lot. I'm very klutzy. So usually fuck is definitely, but like one of my favorite made up swear words is twaffle.
Twaffle. Okay.
Yeah, it's like a twat waffle. I don't know where I heard it, but it's like, I love it. Or twat in general, like the British like use twat. I'm like, you twat. I'm like, what? You what? But yeah, twaffle and fuck. Those are my favorite ones.
Nice. Yeah.
Usually my male characters love the word fuck. So they like to do it and they like to say it.
Well, that word can just be utilized in so many different ways. Yeah. Noun, adjective.
Fornication under consent of the king, whatever.
Yeah. And not many people know that, but still, nonetheless, it's so versatile. It's just so good.
It is. Is it a good fuck or is it a bad fuck?
I know, right? Well,
there are so many options in this.
Well, there was also a TikTok one. I see if I can find it. There was one about the different ways to say the word bitch. Yeah. And so that's something to, now we need you to, we need to figure out someone to do the different ways to do the fuck to kind of showcase all these different options.
Right.
And so people know that and can just, depending on tone, depending on the elongation of it or not. So it'll be.
My husband's always like, Kylie, I'm like, sorry. I'm sorry. Like you swear like a sailor. I'm like, I know. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no. Trust me. I know when people have kids, it's just one of those things where you try.
Oh, no, this is even before kids.
He, okay. I know. See, like, this is who I am. This is how you get me.
Right. It was just like,
yeah. It's just one of those things. I know that when we got Corey, we got him. I try to not do that. But, so there was a lot of brownies and fudge and bologna. But then I'm like, motherfuck, no, I can't do this anymore. I was stressing out. I was literally having anxiety issues over the bad words. And I'm like, you know what? They're going to hear a lot worse.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. So it's like, now it's like, what the fuck? So it goes there. So now we have reached a fun portion. Not that this wasn't fun, but the game portion. Let me correct myself then. The game portion of our chat, where we ask you to tell us 3 things about you, of which 2 are true and 1 is a lie. So we play 2 truths and a lie, and we try to figure out. And I say we because I really do think that everybody listening to me right now is playing along and try to figure out which one is the lie. So if you're ready, you'll just tell us these 3 things and we got to figure out which one's the lie. Okay.
I have traveled to the UK. I have a master's degree and I'm not using it. And I hate Jell-O.
Wow. Okay. That's just random. But right? I love it.
I tried to make them as random as possible. I was like, what could be believable, but not believable, but believable?
Yeah. And then you did it there because, you mentioned having a degree and not working in it, but then you went further and when I have a master's degree and I don't work in it, it's sneaky, smart, sneaky. I love it. And traveling to the UK, considering you have family there, but then again, that means nothing. Yeah,
right.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm going to try to figure this out. If I'm wrong, let's see if I can guess again in between the 2 options that I have. But you hate Jell-O?
I do hate Jell-O. It's the truth. I do hate Jell-O. Okay. It's awful and it needs to go away. Nothing should be able to move like that ever.
Yeah, I get you.
And be edible.
Yeah, it's the texture for me.
Same. I'm a texture fiend. I'm just like, nope, no.
Okay, so that's the truth. So that's good. Let's see. So the lie then, master's degree, and that you're not using it?
No, I have a master's degree. And I am not using it.
So that's another true. So you've never, okay, you've traveled.
I have never been to the UK. Nope. That's why I mentioned earlier, I'm like, I have family there.
But again, like I said, that means nothing now.
Nothing.
Yeah. But you got me with the whole degree thing. Cause I'm like, okay, I was trying to remember, did she say it was a bachelor or was it a master's?
I think I might have said it, but I was just like, we'll keep it.
Yeah.
Just for fun.
Yeah. Trust me. It's is she paying attention quiz? I just love it.
Yeah.
Rogue people. No, I think you said you had a degree. I don't think you mentioned if it was bachelor's or that, but anytime, most of the time people, when they say, oh yeah, I have a degree, everybody automatically thinks bachelor's. They never stop to go that some people have masters or higher, stuff like that. So, okay. So never been to the UK.
No.
So hopefully when this whole thing that shall not be named goes away and it's safe to travel, you'll be able to go.
I can go.
Yes, and explore the homeland.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much. That's what we call it, the homeland.
Yeah, and
Scotland.
Yeah, and all the fun stuff that's out there because I'm like, wow, it's on my bucket list of places to go across the pond too. So I hear you. I understand. Yeah. So, but thank you for taking the time and for sharing that. I'm not the only one that doesn't like Jell-O.
I don't like it. And people who bring the Jell-O.
Oh, desserts for the holidays and potlucks.
Salad. Yeah, I'm always I look at them like, why? What is wrong with you? This is pie season. Bring a pie. Yes. Don't bring this marshmallow salad crap here. Go away.
I have a day job coworker. I think she names hers Ambrosia something. And I'm like, no.
Unless it has Prosecco in it. I don't want it.
Yeah, that's true. I was never really keen on those Jell-O shots either.
And I never loved Jell-O shots. I was always like, this is gag me. No.
It's about the texture. I will say
it is.
I've had a little bit of I can do a spoonful, but very thin spoonful with whipped cream. But then again, that changes the texture.
Yeah. You're covering up the bad.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's it about us and texture. We know that you hate it. And we're not the only ones. So that's good. So before we go, can you tell us about what you're currently working on and what's coming up next for you?
Well, I am currently working on a few audiobooks. The third audiobook in the Stardom Academy series I've been working with Podium Audio is coming out here pretty soon. I think I have a date when it's going to release or should release. I've loved working with Podium Audio. They're awesome. And they've just been so good and easy to work with. Breakers, Academy of Stardom, Book 3. The release date is going to be around the beginning of November. So that's always a good one to look out for. As for the others, I have a couple of audiobooks that I'm currently working on in the works that are waiting to be released and post-produced with Podium, as well as the stuff we're working on. So that's always exciting. And then for writing, I am currently about to go into NaNoWriMo hell, and I'm being a rebel this year because I'm working on my next series. So Scottish Wolf Shifters, and I'm very excited about it.
And that sounds really good. Scottish Wolf Shifters. Ooh.
Yes.
When you get all the check marks in the box.
Right?
Accent, check. Kilt, check.
Check.
Brooding, check.
Oh yeah, you gotta know it. They are.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, cool.
And then of course we'll be working on more sticker packs for Christmas.
Yep. Awesome. Gonna look forward to those and your series on YouTube. So
yep. The next audiobook, the part 1 for authors, is coming out this Friday.
Nice.
So
I'll make sure to grab that link too then and add it there. Nice. Well, thank you so much, Kylie, for taking the time to hang out with me today. It's been a pleasure as always.
Thank you so much for having me. I've had fun.
Thank you. I'm glad.
I haven't done one of these in a long time.
I love chatting with you guys and getting to know you guys better and just talking to someone.
It's nice.
It's nice.
We need human experiences.
Yes.
They're nice.
They are really nice. And you have been a pleasure, like you always are when I chat with you online. So that's good. Thank you for that. If you guys are not following Kylie on social media and her website, I will be including all those links. So go ahead, click on them, say yes, follow, like, subscribe, whatever, on the platform that they want. And we'll go from there. And until the next time, happy listenings.
Thank you wholeheartedly to all of our Audiobook Lovin Podcast Patreon. Special thanks to Nixley Zenner, Carol Liebner, Lynn Black-Pedersen, Michelle DaCosta, Brittany Robinette-Leiter, Dawn Darsh, Michelle Bestard, and Nancy Billows. Support the podcast by becoming a Patreon at www.patreon.com/audiobooklovin. Benefits include early access, shoutouts, special exclusive content, and much more. Thank you for your support.
Thank you for joining us on the Audiobook Lovin Podcast, hosted by Viviana, Enchantress of Books. For links and more information discussed in today's episode, previous podcasts, or the Audiobook Lovin Series, please visit our website, vivianaenchantressofbooks.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a positive review wherever you listen to our podcast. Until next time, happy listening.